Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another video. Today's one is from a comment that I got, and it's a bit of a strange one, but I just think it's something that people think about or people associate with alcohol or taking drugs or that kind of stuff. So this guy says he's been watching the videos for a while. I think it was about 5 years, and he just wanted to ask whether I've had a huge traumatic experience in my life that has kept me making the videos, right? So he was talking about it from the perspective of that I'm reflecting on, I'm able to reflect on things and hold these things in my memory. For a start, I'm off the alcohol for 10 years. So a lot of the memories that I've made since I've stopped drinking alcohol, perfect, yeah, near enough to perfect anyway. And I think with some of the memories from my past are coming back to me, and it's a strange thing, you get these memories that briefly flash by, and you're in certain circumstances and you get a memory that comes by. Well, that's been happening a lot during this decade from my past, just memories surfacing up, or ideas, or I think it's just my brain clearing up, that's my answer to it anyway. So but if you've been watching my videos for a long time, you kind of know what I'm about, right? I've got trauma in life. There is certain things that have happened to me in life that have given me traumatic experiences. But everyone has, if you live long enough, if you love life, if you have kids, if you're with people in general, life involves tragedy and trauma. And I think the sizes of those experiences depend on the person, right? A huge trauma for one person is not so bad for somebody else, if you get what I mean. It depends on how you process these things. I guess it depends on how many traumatic experiences you've had and how you process them. It depends what you call a trauma, right? It depends on the degree of your age, your experience. When you go through these traumas, it also depends on how much time has gone by in life since the trauma has happened. Time heals all wounds, they say. The hugeness of the trauma generally tends to soften with age. That's my take on it anyway. But I think also it's, if you're developing a victim mentality, then the traumatic experiences can seem to be more traumatic in life, right? That seems to me a logical thing. You hear people and you get a paper cut on their hand and they're crying, that kind of thing. Whereas, if you get somebody who's been in a war or been in, really extreme traumatic experiences, not just the traumatic experiences that are going to visit probably everyone in life, then you might get a much more stoic viewpoint from them. So I think in this life you get both joy and sorrow. Life is full of both yin and yang, right? The light and dark, fortune and tragedy, if you like. We all love the fortune side of this, and the blessings and the victories and the pleasure and the happiness that brings. But I think tragedy is also a profound and painful aspect of this human journey that we're on. Some would say it's a necessary aspect of this human journey that we're on. It's necessary to embrace both the light and the dark parts of our lives. It's necessary, I think, to embrace both the light and the dark parts of ourselves, right? I'll dig in a little bit in one traumatic experience that I had when I was drinking, and this is going back now 20 years. So 2004, I lost my wife. She was 42 at the time. And this was without doubt, somebody dies young, somebody who you're very close to, somebody who you're experiencing life with and you're hoping to experience life with, is taken away from you very suddenly. And like I said, it's a traumatic experience on its own, of course, right? But while I was going through my own grief, my son was also going through his grief, and he was grieving in his own way. He was only 12. So I can't imagine what that was like for him, right? I get some measure of, I can talk to him now, and now I get some measure of what he was going through and what he felt and the thoughts that he was going through, the pain he went through, how it affected his life. As I said, when I speak to him now, it's not something that you bring up over a dinner conversation, but every so often it comes up, and I've spoken to him a lot over the years about this. So, but on the other hand, it has had a profound impact on his life, on the person he has become, on the man he has become. His tolerance for bullshit is so much greater than mine. His ability to understand things in a much deeper way is so much greater than mine. He gets angry at pettiness sometimes, and I see that coming out in him. He sees pettiness much quicker than I do. He sees pettiness much quicker than I'm able to. But he also has a much deeper empathy for the troubles of people. So he will go on the charm offensive a lot quicker than I will. Is that the right way to say it? My perception of light and dark was certainly affected by my loss, right? And when you're talking about a grief, it is a loss, a personal loss. So you can have a loss. It is the loss that we both share, but we both approach it from different aspects. His perception of the death appears to me to be much wider. His perception of life seems to be much wider. Maybe that's not the right word to use. Maybe the best way of describing it is he's more sensitive, or he has a more nuanced look, viewpoint on life, right? He can see these things through different eyes than I can, right? That's going to be life in general, right? I'm not just saying because of a traumatic experience, but that adds to it. I grew up into my adulthood with both my parents. I think it's a tragedy when you lose a parent in general, but it's a natural expectation in life, because it's just the way it is. Your parents go before you, and that's the natural way it's supposed to go. But because my son lost his mother early in his life, he grew up during his teenage years having to face such a huge tragedy early, and processing that through a young and inexperienced mind. A child needs both parents. They both provide that opposite ends of the spectrum for a child. There are things I offer my son that his mother couldn't offer him, for instance. But there are many things that he lost when she died, right? Things that I couldn't give him. So we both need this yin and yang thing. I think the female is the yin, if I'm right, and the male is the yang. But we need both of those things. At the time when she died, I did my best, and I tried to give him that nurturing element, but I didn't know how to. How do you? This is something that is instinctual, I think, for a mother to give that. A father can't. You can approximate certain things in life, but you can't give from a deep level, right? So I think losing his mother helped him to both heal differently and really grow an understanding of people, develop an understanding, a sense of compassion that I can see, but I can't quite get to, if you understand what I'm saying. Even though none of us wants tragedy in life, experiencing the light and the dark of life is an essential component, I think, to growing as people, growing as individuals. These two things, the joy and the sorrow of life, they're interconnected. Sorrow is an experience that makes joy seem much deeper. When you've gone through sorrow in your life, when you experience joy, it just feels more joyful. It becomes not just a surface emotion, like a child's sense of joy, let's say, for instance. I think, when you're a child, it's just there, you're just happy. You're happy, and it's a natural state. Sorrow also becomes a part of joy. When you're happy with a part of your life, for instance, there is always an underlying sense of sorrow that this person or that person is not there to experience this joy and happiness with you, you know. You can't share this joy with them anymore. You know, on the other hand, when you experience a tragedy in life, you can find unexpected sources of strength within you, you know, little kind of threads of resilience that can really help you to grow and transform. Tears of joy. When I was young, I remember thinking, you know, why if you're happy, why are you crying? Especially about my mum. My mum used to do this, you know, at Christmas. It was her favorite time of the year, and she'd start crying for no reason. I'd say, "What? Why are you crying, Mum?" She'd say, "I'm just happy," you know. And I never got that when I was a kid. You know, I think you get overjoyed at something. You get so emotionally caught up in the moment that there's a kind of a compensation on the other side that needs to happen. You know, the tears well up, sadness comes in to compensate, to dampen down the emotions a little bit. You know, that's my theory anyway, for what it's worth. You know, that your emotions, you feel so happy about something that you have to sort of get a little bit of the dark side there in order to counterbalance, if you like. And I think the same thing could be said when you're stopping drinking alcohol, right? You know, there's going to be days when you feel great. There's days when you feel horrible. There's days when the journey is just easy. You know, you just float through your days. You don't think about alcohol at all. You don't think about cravings. You don't think about anything bad. And then there's days when you feel like you've just got the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I think each part of this is an inescapable component of the whole. You've got comfort and discomfort. These are both interconnected, and they're both essential components of that splitting yourself off from your old life and building the new life, right? By the way, if you're looking to get on this journey, if you want to get yourself unplugged from this whole delusion, right? Stop the flow of alcohol, do the work that needs to be done, and move on to better things in your life. We've got the beginner's guide that you can get. It's free, still in the link down below for the time being. The link's in the description. Like I said, it's a short primer course to get you moving forwards, right? And if you want more structured help from me, more comprehensive help, we've got a full year's course over on Habits V2. You know, this is where I spend most of my time. Like I said, it's usually sort of in the background creating stuff, trying to think things through better, you know. We've got a great community of people, like I said. Our masterclass is very structured, takes you through preparation stages, all the way through stopping the flow and doing the work to get to that first year. I think it's one of the best milestones that you can get to. And so the link is in the description for that. That's our little plug for today, to pay the bills. So I'm sorry if I'm ranting on a little bit with this one, or it's going a bit longer, but it's just something that when I read the comment, it sort of struck me. You know, life's ups and downs, the joys of life and the sorrows of life, it kind of creates this strange but beautiful picture. They say a tapestry of experiences, and it really does shape who you are and what journey you're on. It's not only the experiences that you go through, it's how you respond to those experiences. You know, we've talked about the why of this journey, the reasons, you know, and if you tell yourself that you're a victim in this and that, you know, there's no rhyme or reason to this, then, you know, life just becomes much more meaningless, and it doesn't give you the same benefits, you know. I think you know, there's a lot of truth in the saying that you are your own destiny is in your own hands, like I say, right? So, you know, since I unplugged from alcohol, I've been able to see both the light and the dark aspects of my life much clearer. You know, clearer mind not only helps you to plan things and to see things in a better way, it enables you to dig down into yourself. You know, the biggest parts of this journey is always going to be inside your mind, inside your heart, inside your soul, if that's what you think, right? But I've been able to look at both the joyful aspects and the sad aspects, the hard aspects, the tragedy aspects. Look at myself in that and my own role in that in a much kinder light, right? When you put time between yourself and the alcohol, when you put time between, everyone knows that this is shit for you. And, it's a conflict that goes on as long as you're drinking. And that's one of the biggest weights that will be lifted from your shoulders. So once you get that, it allows you to develop empathy and compassion and a broader perspective, not only for yourself, but as a teacher. The flies have just come. I don't know where they've come from. But anyway, it not only as a teacher, but it really helps that you can see where you've come from. It helps you to see how far you've come and how you've gotten to where you are now. I've always been a nerd with, in the sense that I've always loved reading books. I've always loved learning. My memory wasn't that great when I was drinking, but I've learned and remembered so much since I unplugged from the alcohol. And I think most of what I learned when I was still plugged into the delusion, I think it's still there. Like I said in the beginning, it's part of your memory. It becomes part of your memory, and you just can't access that for whatever reason. The cloud descends over your life over the years. But it seems to be now that when I need to access certain parts of my life, even stuff that I've read years ago when I was drinking, I can access that now when I need it. It seems that way. Life's journey is complicated. If we were to try and break it all down, I think the wisest course of action is to take it day by day. When you get to the simplest thing that you can do, don't worry too much about the past. We can all look back and cringe at some of the things that we did, right? There's a general experience in life that bubbles just below the surface and makes us who we are, warts and all. All the good shit and all the bad shit. The stuff that we like to focus our minds on, and that shadow self, as Jung says. But you've got to look at that shadow self as well. You've got to acknowledge and integrate both the light parts of your life and the dark parts, the joys as well as the sorrows of life. It's often not comfortable to do this. It's a pain in the arse sometimes, but it will certainly add a deeper meaning and a richness to your life if you do this. So listen, I'm going to end it there because this is going on a bit too long. We're on this journey together. I wish you the best of luck. Like I said, the links are in the description below if you want any of our stuff. If you want my help with that, take care. Onwards and upwards. Bye now.